Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was trying to get into the class this evening, and for some reason it wouldn't let me in. It kept saying that Dr. Mintz already had a meeting in progress, and it just kept spinning. So I'm going to present and upload it to the Cyber Cafe. You give me a second, and I will share my screen. Okay, so for this assignment, the source I chose was an article that was done by a healthcare facility that used remediation plan, and they talked about the seven um, key elements that they used to set up their remediation plan that was successful. Um, I think you have to have some type of organization for your remediation plan because you want it to work and you want to, and it can be costly. Not everybody uses a remediation plan because they may not be able to afford to, but it's something that is definitely needed. But and a lot of times, if you're doing what you need to do to make sure you're watching out for vulnerabilities, breaches, and things like that, you may not need to use a remediation plan. So getting into the seven areas that they talked about, the first one was align and commit with the whole organization. So basically, your whole organization has to be on board, especially your higher ups and your decision makers. If they're not on board or agreeing with it, it's not going to work. If your employees are not willing to do the things and take the steps that need to be done, or even learn what the process is to make sure it's done correctly, things are not going to go well. And then it can cost you a lot of money at the end. Second, make performance management transparent when dealing with remediation and manage difficulty than the normal day-to-day business is ran. Most companies use scorecards or track activities of remediation. Everything is watched and viewed closely and managed aggressively, especially third-party vendors. And the scorecards allow you to see the remediation efforts and the day-to-day activities that's being done. Not everybody uses scorecards because sometimes that can be costly also. Um, and this can be done by the project management office, which is POM. It is very important that third party activities are managed closely because these are your contractors and like outside vendors. So you want to know what they're doing and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. The next one is ensure that other business choice supports remediations. So whatever decisions you make with your organization, you have to make sure that it's going to be in support of your remediation plan. For instance, you may um, find out that there's some resources that you don't need anymore, and you want to get rid of them. Well, sometimes freeing up those resources will allow you to um, it will allow you to have less likelihood of a vulnerability or something happening. So that lowers your chances of needing to use remediation, which in the end can save you money. Just whatever business choices you make, you have to make sure that it is in alignment with your remediation plan because if it's not, then it can be very costly in the end. Communicate with the outside world in disciplined ways. So basically, make sure you're communicating with the public, the media, depending on what the situation is. If it's a situation, an incident that happens and it affects the public, then you have to let people know. You can't wait months to let somebody know because if you do that, then the person is not going to trust your organization anymore. So therefore, you lose in business. Your reputation is destroyed, and things are just not going to go well, and you can end up being sued in the end. And for instance, Equidata, when that incident happened, they didn't let the public know. It was months later, I think maybe 2 or 3 months later, when they finally said something to the public about what happened. And by that time, a lot of people information and personal data was affected. Interim controls, basically having interim controls in place in case the existing controls fail is important so that more damage is not caused. These are temporary controls and that will cause a greater margin of safety. At some point, these controls need to be faded out. If they're not faded out, they can end up costing the organization more money in the end. The next one is practice lean processes. Learning from going through a remediation process can be very helpful. Once you have used the remediation process, going back over everything that was done can be valuable to the organization. When reviewing the process, you can see what worked and what not, and what did not work. Here you can see what parts can be cut out, took too long or too much time, require extra staff, and by having the extra steps or processes that are not needed can be a waste of money, cost, and costly to the organization. So if you go back and review everything, you can readjust and get rid of the things that you don't need. Culture of quality. This is the last one. The culture of quality for remediation will vary from person to person. You will have some people that are on board and some people that are not. It is your management and higher ups responsibility to make sure that there's a quality of culture there, that everybody wants the same thing, which is to make sure that the organization is protected and that they're staying on top of the remediation processes. I felt like this article, this Warsaw article, was a good piece of information about how this healthcare environment used it, and it seems like, according to them, using this method that they use, it works for them, and it has saved them a lot of money. So this is my presentation, and thank you. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment area of the cyber cafe. Thank you.